Welcome, everybody. This is Together We Serve TV show. This is our inaugural show, our first show of many, many shows. Little technical difficulty. Sorry for the late start, but you know what? We started, and I'm excited. The whole idea of this show is make an impact, serve people daily, and grow yourself personally and professionally. And I'm excited to have my guest on today. This is a gentleman I've got to know over the last 6 months or so, probably longer than that. But he's got not only the credibility and the credentials, but he's got the biggest heart. And when you want to serve, you have to have a servant's heart. And this is what this gentleman has. Joey, welcome to the show. You know, Joey, I can't hear you. But that's okay. I'll keep talking until we fix that.
Here we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
See?
First time show.
Let's do this. Drum roll. Here he is. Joey Droshagen.
Man, I'm so excited to be here with you. This is such an exciting venture, my friend.
It really is. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited you're my debutante to the ball. Kind of weird to say that, but in a sense, you are. It just came to my head, and I'm going to do this. Failed on that one. But Joey, you know what I love about you? You have a passion for people, a big passion for people. Why did you get into coaching to take care of that desire?
Yeah, that's a great question, Stephen. And you know, everything I do coaching wise and everything, like I say, the SMT method, everything we talk about today, I was the guinea pig of. And I know what it's like to live on that other side. I know what it's like to live in struggle. I know when things happen easy, having that feeling like I didn't earn it or deserve it. I know what all of that feels like. And so the more I learn and the more I grow and have grown into this, the more like that my heart, my insides want to help more and more people to have, you know, an impact across millions of people's lives to live better lives. And it just continues to flow and grow.
Yeah. And you mentioned entrepreneurs and business owners are your passion. Why those people?
Yeah, now I will tell you, you know, mainly I'll work with business owners. I don't work with major corporations, but business owners, realtors, entrepreneurs. And it's because that's what I've always wanted to be myself. That's what I've tried to build into. And I took the corporate path and learned a lot, got to help a lot as a VP of sales, helping companies from bankruptcy back into profitability in record timing. So I have the track record and I was good at that, but I couldn't stand being part of that corporate world. And so today I get to help along these lines. And even though like the things we talk about are going to be related to business, you know, realtors and entrepreneurs, it's really all about personal transformation. So the SMT method will work for anybody that's not living the life to the level of what their desires are.
Yeah. It's so powerful, and it takes you to another level. But one thing, you know, you've been named one of the top business coaches for disrupting the industry in 21, 22, and 23. Mm-hmm. What do they mean by about disrupting?
It means that we're changing the course of how things are done. We're changing the course of how businesses grow. We're changing the course of it. It's no longer about the massive actions, exhaustive efforts, trading off your family for the business. It really is about getting into that flow, getting into that mindset alignment and allowing and opening up that business while you're increasing your freedom of time. That's unheard of. And for decades, it's been unheard of in business. You had to choose one or the other. This isn't about this or that. It's about this and that.
Well, what's interesting, you said twice already the word freedom. Yeah. Somebody comes up to you and says, Joey, I want to be free. I want freedom. What would you tell them?
I would ask them what they love to do. What they love to do, because when we get into that flow, you know, whether it's realtors, you know, whatever it is, business owners, whatever it is, we have those desires and it's just part of the human condition. And so when we can step into bringing those to fruition, we're tapping into our energy cells. We're tapping into that drive and that passion and those desires. So as we step into it And instead of doing the list of massive actions and exhaustive efforts, when we step in to do it, develop systems of accelerating habits, we start bringing that about easier, which affords us more time into freedom. So even in work, in what we're doing with our efforts for the impact we're having, it's joyful, it's fulfilling, it has purpose. Where going to a job and and for the paycheck doesn't hold those things to it. So even in doing what we love to do is tapping deeper into that freedom.
That's interesting. Freedom and passion and desire and why. Why do you think people are lacking that? And not everybody.
No, but it is all about our conditioning. For so long, it's not about the paycheck or what side of the tracks we grew up on or things like that. And growing up in Detroit, Michigan, I did have a lot of that in my growing up, that I would be restricted. I would be stuck in blue collar because and not that I don't have anything negative about that. Like I really have a lot of pride for that, watching my whole family and my ancestors, as blue collar. But it was that we were trapped into that. But it's never really been the trap. The trap is our conditioning. The trap is the way we think about things, our patterns, our paradigms, our habits. That's what determines how far we can go, as our subconscious conditioning. And so when we identify the holdups in there, shift those and start opening those up, all of a sudden we can open up a whole nother level of potential that's available to us.
I love that. And audience, if you're watching live, pop in the chat. I have the chat up. And if you have any questions for Joey, I'd love to hear them. Before we go into our break, you call the SMT method scientific.
It is.
It's a big word. I'm not an English major. I understand it a little bit. Explain that a little bit.
Because it's all about our neurological pathways and stuff. It's all about energy flow. So often we'll have an idea of something we want to do, and we know in our conscious mind what we want to do, but then we start coming up with those why we can't, why it can't happen, why we have to settle for less than what we truly desire, and all of that. And all of that's coming from that conditioning, which then ends up, we have the energy going into the why we can't, and so many people's desires for their business will die without a single action taken because of that alone. So it's all about the subconscious is what triggers our brain waves to the actions we take or don't take. So if in our conditioning is fear, if in our conditioning is doubt or what you can't, you're never going to be able to.
Yeah.
It is very scientific.
Yeah, that's well said, because that work could scare people a little bit. I don't want to, bring a coach on to be scientific with me, but you simplify it too, don't you?
And you know why, Steve? Because I had to, for me to comprehend it. There's a lot of books I've read on subconscious and neurological pathways and all this. So I don't understand it. So I couldn't apply anything to change my life, which then, led into the SMT. So I had to simplify it for my own understanding. And as I did that, now that's how clients, what took me years to understand and incorporate, my clients achieve in weeks.
Wow. That's a bold statement. Explain that a little more.
Well, it took me years to get to the point of driving 4,000 miles a week, doing these huge loops, building sales territories, and I have clients right now who have gone within a 12 calendar month from $7.5 million in sales up to almost $23 million in sales. And they've done that within 12 calendar months. So when we identify that, what took me forever, it seemed like, to identify that subconscious conditioning, that's almost impossible to do on our own because it's so natural for us. It feels uncomfortable not to follow that pathway. Then get somebody to help identify what those are. Now my clients can achieve those things within days or a week. They'll have continuous breakthroughs. And then what we do is we get on that other side of what's possible. And all of a sudden sparks start flying and you start seeing this launch happening. Like it's literally, I'm so excited because I literally get to see my clients striving upward to where they want to be in such short periods of times that it is unrealistic.
Yeah.
It cool. Almost seems like that's not even possible.
Yeah.
But everything is there to show it is.
Miracles every day. We hear them, paraplegics walking, people that were homeless or own businesses. I've interviewed a few of those, and I love that because You could, if somebody else can do it, you can do it. Doesn't mean you will, but you can.
Absolutely. And one of the things with it is, when one of the hardest things my clients have a hard time with when we meet and start working together is it's really about getting out of that exhaustive hours, massive actions mentality. And that's really hard to do because we feel we're conditioned, if we don't do that, it's never going to happen. So what happens when somebody's trying to build their business and they're working 16 hours a week and nothing's happening there? Or 16 hours a day is up it to 20 hours a day. They'll try harder and harder until what happens is they meet burnout. And then they walk away from that saying, I was a failure.
Yeah.
When it's just the conditioning that's playing out there.
I love it. And I'm big in building relationships. We've talked about that many times. Yeah. Let's build a little relationship with the audience. What does the future look like, Joey, personally?
For me?
Yes.
It's freaking awesome, Steve. Like, seriously, like my plan, I've developed the SMT method and I have like the accolades and the things that come with it that I see every one of those is such a blessing and stuff. But in 2024, I'm launching my institute to certify other coaches so I can expand the footprint of the works that I've done, my life works and such. And just, seeing my clients, like 2024, for anybody listening to this, is a year where we're done with dress rehearsal. We're done practicing. We're done going back to the books and the channels and everything else to try to learn. And it's a time to truly get in there and just allow it to happen. But to do that, we have to get the subconscious conditioning in alignment. And then we get into that place of allowing. And so much is going to happen in 2024 just based on like what I call out of the blue or coincidences that happen to work out. And when we stop blocking those, which this is the year for, amazing strides are going to be taken in people's lives and the impacts that they have.
That is perfect. I love that. Well, let's jump into our break, and we'll be right back with Joey Drozhagen with the SMT method. You guys got to learn more about this guy. Are you are you feeling like your business should be growing beyond what you've currently experiencing? Are you getting burned out, putting in exhaustive hours and taking massive action and still not getting ahead? Let me ask you this. How much fun are you having in your business? Is it a slog? Are you at the point of settling for your business getting less than you desire? Or worse yet, are you entertaining thoughts of giving up on it altogether? Hey, my friend, I'm here to tell you there's another option. The reason is Joey Drozhagen and the SMT method have been selected as the top business coach disrupting, tough word, the entire industry in 21, 22, and 23. 3 years running over the past decade, working with over 1,000 clients. This is not a starting coaching position. This is a guy that's been doing it for a while. Joey has proven that the total mindset alignment is everything. Can you imagine quickly scaling your business to incredible heights from an attitude of enjoyment, fulfillment, and life balance? And I've heard many stories of him doing that with people. To live in an energized state, excited to be growing to new heights in your business and your life. Not just business, but also your personal life. It is really possible to feel good, consistently enjoy more life freedom in your everyday life, and doing so gain the greatest results possible in your business. He's not guaranteeing the moon, your greatest results, whatever that may be. I'd want that as well. As part of Joey's dedication to serving business owners, realtors, and entrepreneurs, he keeps his schedule available for conversations. To anyone wanting more information, feel free to access his personal calendar and schedule a discussion that will change the way you see your business, your potential, and your life. Reach out to coachwithjoey.com. Again, that's coachwithjoey.com. All right. We're done with the break. We'll come back to Joey. You got me excited. Now we're going to dive into, we learned about you. And I love in your little script there, you talked about consultations and conversing and communicating.
Yes.
Is that the only way to build relationships?
It, I mean, it's the main way. It's the best way I know of is just start sparking those conversations. And I'll tell you, I talk to a lot of people. Not everybody I talk to signs up for coaching or works with me and stuff, but they do get some clear understanding in every one of those conversations, and I get to learn more about them. So there is a cross link. It's never one sided.
I love that. Well, let's jump on. We got some questions. Let me see if I have any private questions here. Not yet, but if you want to, just send us a message and we'll get it out there. If you want to learn more about what this guy's doing, go in the messages. Who would benefit from them is SMT method.
You know, I said that, Steve, is I kind of gear up because I have the corporate experience I have with companies in bankruptcy, back profitability, building huge territories and stuff. I focus it on business owners, which is, you know, kind of the small, medium business owner and stuff, not the huge corporation. Realtors, I work with a lot of realtors. I work with a lot of counselors, really, and then they gain the tools they can take to their clientele. But then I work with entrepreneurs of all different levels, all different walks of life and everything. But I also work with individuals on that personal transformation. If they're stuck in an area of their life, maybe it's finances, maybe they're in a job they can't stand, maybe it's relationships, whatever it is, the same process applies to them to help them identify and clear away that conditioning and put more empowering programming in place for it.
ROI is a big thing. It's the elephant in the room with a business. Shouldn't be the whole thing. How's the ROI going to increase with the SMT method?
Like I said, I have the examples, you know, of what my clients have done. And when I say the percentages, it's just like ridiculous. So I don't even say it anymore. But seeing companies go from $300,000 to $3 million in 12 calendar months, realtors going from 7.5 to $23 million a month, you know, people that were working a job and they had their business on the side, almost like a hobby, to building a multi-million dollar organization within a year and a half. I mean, over and over and over again, it's that. But the really connection point for me, is seeing the person transform into that business owner with that multi-million dollar business, or the realtor at the 23, or the different avenue, the personal transformation that happens with the individual I get to work with, how that feeds out into their organization, across their family, community.
Without giving out the secret sauce, what is the SMT method? I become a client of yours. What am I looking at?
Yeah, so the SMT method stands for subconscious mindset training. And what it is is that we go in and we identify through the process. We come right out of the gate with developing a dynamic, what I call a dynamic vision, and there's road mapping tools to do that, to help determine what is that you truly like, to put some, you know, quantitative, get some visuals, like a clear picture of what is that you want your business to be. What is that you want your life to be? And then we look at all areas, because you can't have a multi-million dollar business and be living as a $10,000 person at the same time. So it's all areas of our life. And as we do that, then we start stepping into that. We develop systems of accelerating habits that start opening up the doorway. So instead of doing a massive exhaustive actions, you know, for 12, 16, 18 hours a day, we start leaning into taking the actions that feel good, that turn on that attraction point. And in process of doing so, we're able to slow down enough to pick up on those cues for those out of the blue moments, for those coincidences.
Almost like magic.
It is. And what I really love about it, and where I differ from most coaching programs, is I don't have an ABC plan that leads to D. That never worked for me. And I walked away from many programs after following that and failing, thinking there was something wrong with me. The SMT method is geared to lay out the pathway, and then every single individual who goes along that pathway has a unique experience through there. But it's able to bring about those results that we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's the ROI, or whatever you want to do, call it. We talked about this a little bit. Dive deeper into why you developed this.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in a very low income, blue collar family outside Detroit, Michigan. I watched my parents. I watched working exhaustive hours and doing everything they could do to try and meet ends meet and keep a roof and you know, over our head, and food on the table for 5 kids. And I saw that beat them up. I saw it beat them up physically, I saw it beat them up emotionally. I saw the stress it put on their marriage and doing that. And I remember at 9 years old thinking, man, you guys are not living right. I'm not gonna be this way. And then I found myself at 20, 21 years old. I started working in corporate America. I had my own business. I had a lawn company. And no matter what I did, I struggled the same ways. No matter if something came really easy for me, I thought I didn't deserve it because I didn't earn it. I didn't work hard enough to have it. And that's where I
Yeah.
came from.
And I love hearing your parents' background of your younger days are a big part of mindset, aren't they?
Oh, that's our conditioning happens first and foremost in our home, and it's we can't blame our family, our parents, because they did the best they could do for us. My parents loved me, I knew that, but they lived the best they could knowing what they knew. And one of the things that really holds this dear for me is you know my parents are both passed. They didn't have things like this available to them. So what I get to do, I mean, it's just amazing that my life is what it is that I get to help so that nobody else has to repeat that pathway that they repeated.
And
That they
that's, yeah, my dad always told me, and I've talked about this on many shows, don't recreate the wheel. And that's what you're doing. Hey, I've gone through it. Let's keep you from going through it or get it out of you in a sense so you can
yeah.
be more profitable, a better person and a better business owner.
And if you think about that, it's so funny because with me personally, I went through that conditioning and I didn't know any different. That's what I was raised in. So that's what felt comfortable. So even though I didn't like it, it felt like the right way to be. And now I've been able to break that. And I have a son, a 27-year-old son who I absolutely adore. He just graduated from college and he decided on a Wednesday, he found this house he really loved. And we talked about the process and the SMT method and what I do, and he already knows it because we're close and talk a lot. And so by Friday he was moving in that place.
Wow.
It's
So that,
amazing how quick things can happen. And here's the thing I want to say: the SMT method, it's scientific, it's proven out, all of this stuff. What it doesn't do is it does not fit into logic. It's not logical. Our conditioning is not logical. So when we hear somebody going in 12 calendar months from 7.5 to $23 million, we think that's not logical.
yeah.
And it's right, it's not. But to get to where you want to get to, logic isn't going to get you there. We have to get outside of logic, which is shifting that conditioning and getting that mindset alignment. And the conscious mind is the knowing. Where am I at? And then the subconscious is the doing that triggers the brain waves. So when we're offset with those two, we're not getting that programming. We want a lot, but we're not taking the actions and can't get ourselves to take the actions to do so. And so what do is we want to hire somebody to make us accountable to doing things we can't stand doing because we want a certain result. The SMT method helps people to identify what they love doing and what brings in success and then doing more of that.
Yeah. Hey, if anybody has questions about the SMT method or Joey or me, just make sure you put them in the chat so we can get them to Joey so he can answer them. One thing I do want to say, this dives into your personal life as well. You just did it with your son. Let's talk about that, the importance of doing this, not only for business, but personal.
Yeah, it's funny because I've gotten so many examples. I've got to work with a CEO of a company that wanted to get coaching, but he didn't want to bring a coach in to coach his team, but his team was just not producing. So him and I started working together. He wanted to get coaching and take it to his team. Within the second week, I determined the guy has a 37-year marriage and he and his wife just coexisted. The kids are gone and raised and everything else. And they just coexist. They didn't eat together, shop together. They just shared the same dwelling. The
Wow.
week him and I worked together, I did a live workshop. This is pre-COVID. He was at the workshop. I asked him to speak and he came up there. I didn't know what he was going to say, but he came up there and he shared that they were coexisted. Now the 5 weeks later, he said they were like newlyweds. They were dating, they were going out together, they were cooking together and shopping and just snuggling up on the couch with popcorn. And so in that, when he shifted, when he changed that, his team automatically lifted up. He didn't need to bring coaching to his team.
That's amazing.
We change and we shift everything in our world. That ripple effect impacts everything in our world.
That's the bonus. you're going through a divorce as a CEO, it's going to affect your business.
Yes.
Solve
It
that.
does. We try to think it doesn't, but it does.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all related. It's all in the whole, And so when the way we do it, I do it in the SMT is I break it out into 4 quadrants: our health and well-being, our relationships, our vocation, and our time and money freedom. And there's been so many clients that I've worked with just based on within a couple months shifting around their financial situation. And they didn't
Wow.
go out and get better jobs, or they didn't go. We just got into that place of clearing the conditioning of lack and opening it up. Now, there's a lot of what I do that people will call the law of attraction, manifesting, things like that. And it's all energy is what it is. And I don't ever disagree with that. But the difference in what I do is the law of attraction, back in the secret days and all that, as great as they all focus on kind of a one size fit all. The SMT again is set up to take each individual through based on their uniqueness to experience the journey of transformation into opening up the doorways to what they want.
Wow. And there more opportunities then.
It does, yeah.
Which opportunities lead to money, building relationships, abundance, all that great stuff. I know you're big in faith. How much has faith helped you with your business?
It's based in all of it. I mean,
Really?
It really is based in all of it, because part of the whole thing, whether you call it universal, whether you call it God, whether you call it, there's a higher power running over us. And one of the things you've probably heard me talk about this here, my upstairs being my antichrist. Because when I'm living through here and coming up with my strategies and my to-dos and how it's going to happen and everything else, I'm so limited to this distance right here. When I start shifting that and I start opening up and clear away that conditioning, all of a sudden, that's how I tap into those out of the blue moments. Overhearing something, the coincidences, the things that show up. I was on fire today about getting to speak to you and getting to be on your show for your first host. Like, wow, this kid from Detroit, Michigan gets to be here with you today, Steve. That's almost overwhelming for me,
You're very humble. I appreciate it. I know you've been on big stages, but no, I appreciate your servant's heart. You're willing to serve. As you said in your commercial, I'm here to consult with anybody to learn about them and building relationships, which is vital, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so in doing that, in being that way, and you've been a help for me understanding the servant's heart and understanding what that's. So when I shift that and I start coming from here, all of a sudden I can start tapping into resources and opportunities I don't otherwise see because I'm so busy living up here. So I don't get to live up here and be tapped into that. I have to choose one or the other. And it took me a long, 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 long time, because one of the things corporate did really well is taught me to be a logical thinker.
Yeah.
To figure out my 90-day plans, my 3-month plan, 6-month plan, 1-year plan, 5-year, and all of that and everything, and the strategies and how I'm going to do it and how I'm going to overcome if it doesn't happen that way. And all these different, today when I work with a client, I tell them, man, throw away your B plan. Because if you have a B plan, you'll never hit your A plan.
Wow.
And that's what we work off of as A plans. We develop that through the vision, and then we start sparking that and igniting that, shift whatever needs to be shifted, and then start opening that up and set those systems of accelerating habits to start really launching into that.
So you're telling me we truly have mind farts? It's what I...
What I'm telling you is that we pay too much attention to those mind farts when we could be coming from another place, the alignment with it. And the other thing I have to add, because so many people go, that's BS, man. You cannot grow your business and have extra free time at the same time. But I'll tell you something, and I have multiple of these, but that realtor that went from 7.5 to $23 million, and that was in 13 years of real estate. That was the only year of her adult life that she took 5 weeks of vacation in that same year when she made that growth. One of them was to a 2-week trip to Israel that had been on her bucket list for decades.
That's powerful. Happiness.
So it is possible. But if you don't think it's possible, it never can or will be.
Yeah. No, you won't do it. I don't think anybody in the world, an athlete, entertainer, says, oh, I'll never be Leo DiCaprio and be a top movie star. He had to believe that.
Yeah.
At one time. if
And
not
what's really
early.
cool about getting to see now in my life, in this lifetime that, in this blessing I get to live in, is I've had so many clients. When they had the marathon and the fastest pace was like, over 5 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever it was and stuff. And then one person came and broke that. And all of a sudden, everybody started breaking that. I'm starting to see that with the clientele that's coming to me to work with them is because they have that belief and they see that it was possible for somebody else. All of a sudden, they're going further and further. And I'll tell you, I have clients that launch quicker than I was able to launch
Yeah.
and get to higher heights than I was able to get to.
Right.
And I love that.
That's fantastic. Let's take a break right there. Our next segment, we're going to get into stories and learn how you've helped people and learn about what you do and how you've helped people and served them. And I want to jump in here today to talk about my podcast. And of course, you're watching my TV show. I have a podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Should be called Doing Business with Business and Life with a Servant's Heart. But people kind of get that. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on all your podcast platforms. But more importantly, I have so many great stories like Joey, who's been on my podcast a couple of times, and some great influential people that have really made a difference for the listeners. Because those shows are about obstacles and how they overcame their obstacle and started serving. And then when they started serving because they overcame the obstacle, guess what? Income came. Their relationships grew. Their network grew. I have this thought, Joey's heard me say this, and many people do. Your network is your net worth. And I've added to that. Your network is your quality network. So where you want to go in life, like Joey was talking about in the last segment, you want to raise those spots. You got to be with millionaires if you're going to be a millionaire. Nothing wrong with people that work 8 to 5. I love you guys because we need those people. And that's where they're a good fit. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. I'd love for everybody to try, but it's just not a fit. And I've worked with people. We just found, an 8 to 5 job works and grow in that 8 to 5 job. So what I want you to do is watch these shows. I have paraplegics that are changing businesses' lives as a coach. A young man, 17 years old, had a brain bleed. Literally told him, parents, the doctor, and his mom was gone, working. So talk about life and work coming involved. As she's driving to the hospital, the husband's on the phone saying, I think we lost our son. Now, some of you out there have lost family members or kids. My heart, God bless you, and I'll pray for you. But that's one of the toughest things. That's bigger than business, bigger than anything else. Family's always number one. And he recovered. And he told the doctor in 6 weeks in the hospital, he said, I'll be walking out of here. And they said, I love your attitude, but no way. He walked out of there and did a 100-mile hike 6 months later with his brother and his dad. There is so much you can do. But to be able to do it, you have to have the right mindset, but you have to go out and serve. So here's what I tell everybody. Starting Monday, this is a Friday when the show's recorded. And if you're watching live, start on Monday and serve everybody. Every person you meet virtually or in person, I want you to go out and serve them. Bring them value. It might be, say, you have a smile. You help somebody with a grocery. You call a best friend you haven't talked to in a year because you got busy. You just wanted to reconnect. Or you build relations. But just bring value to people. Doesn't matter the size of the value. Does not have to be money. And guess what? Your universe is going to change because it's happened to me. I'm living it. And you know what? It feels so darn good when you serve somebody. And think about when you do that, how you feel, how they feel. And on a business note, I have just about to launch a serving journal where you can track all the people that you serve in a week and then write down how you felt, how they felt, every person you served, and then how'd your week change? We all have bad days, and I'll leave you with this. You're having a bad day or a day just not going well, stop what you're doing and go serve somebody, whatever that may be. And by God's blessing, things will change. Don't think about a how, when, or where when you serve. Just take action. Let's get back to the show. Joey?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you so much. I didn't know what I was going to say, but it's just something that's passionate. It's why I wanted you on, because it does work. And I've talked to many business owners that are all about serving. I learned that at 18 years old. I was blessed by my cousin Jeff, who taught me the power of serving. Imagine working in a health club, and our most important thing is remembering everybody's name. And the darn employee goes, "Well, I don't remember everybody's name. We had 5,000 members. Just look on the computer screen.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, have a great workout, Joey." And then you start building relationships and you get to know them. Guess what? We flourished. So I know it works.
One of the many things I really admire about you, Steve, is what you say. Exactly what you said there is you come from your heart, you open up your lips, and the words come out. Like it's just a beautiful flow of those. Man.
Everybody has it too. Whether you're in prison,
yes,
a murderer. I'm actually going to have a murderer on my podcast who's in prison, who's now converting people to God and faith, because that's now his mission. He'll never get out and see the world.
All the way up to billionaires and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have it. It's just what's going to get it out. And I know the biggest problem is people go, "I need money now."
Yeah.
Well, reach out to Joey, reach out to me. We'll help you, because I know we can. But you can't, again, like I said, can't think about the how, what, and where when you serve. Your universe will change. You just don't know when.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I work with all my clients on is you got to put the how aside, because the only way you're going to establish the how is coming from here. And one thing I'd like to say about that, we can get into stories is, when we talk about being an entrepreneur or a business owner, we always look at it logically, right? You have to have your strategy, you have to have your finances, you have to all this stuff in alignment. But if you really think about what entrepreneur is, it's about creativity. An entrepreneur is a creator. So when you come from that place, when you come from into entrepreneurship, you have to be willing to tap into the creative side and put aside the logical side.
I love it. That's so true. Yeah! People are cheering it.
Oh my God, that was great.
Let's tell stories. Let's tell us one or two stories. We got some time.
So I talked to the one about the realtor. I'll tell another one that's always really dear to my heart. Is I met a gentleman and he had a business and he was kind of just like, when I first met him, I thought, oh my God, the way this guy talks, I'm going to need a dictionary. Because again, I have to simplify things to understand them clearly, So, but then we had about a half-hour conversation, and I realized this guy is just his whole life is mediocre. His business, his family, being a father, his being a husband, like across the board. Even as musician, as a musician, it was all just mediocre. Well, we found out, we got through his vision. He had a really hard time constructing it and stuff, but we got through it to some level and stuff, and probably about 4 or 5 weeks working together, 4 weeks working together, it came out, and he completely forgot about it. But when he was in the 5th grade, he started a brand new school, and he knew nobody. And part of the thing is he had to do assessment testing. And so he did the assessment testing. He goes into class, the bell rings, everybody goes to class. He goes to the principal's office, and the principal tells him, he goes, "Look at this, man. You're in the 8th grade math. You're in college, or 8th grade reading, college mathematics, and just like a really like high level." And he said, "Man, I'm really glad to have you here." And so he said, "Now take this and go to classroom." So he took it and went to his classroom, and he gave it to his teacher. And now he's standing in front of this brand new classroom of nobody he knows and hands it to her. And she holds him up there and starts going at it and going, "Oh, well, look at this. He's in the 8th grade reading. He's in college math," and starts berating this child in front of his classmates. And he spent that entire school year being picked on and bullied and ridiculed because of how smart he was. And he didn't know any better. So at that age, he walked away from that saying he'll never show that to anybody again. Steve, I meet the guy, he's in his 50s. He's gone through all that life forward, and he's living this mediocre life. So when it came up, it was a breakthrough. And so all of a sudden we start talking about that. We change that around. We do perception shifting on it and such. And now for the next 5 days, he calls me 3 different times, and he's telling me about how he has a breakthrough here, and he has this happen, he has that happen. And one of the things it's so awesome is he said his wife was talking to him about something they should do, and how she thought they should do it and everything. And he said, I've been passive for so long. Whatever she wants to do, we do. And I thought about it, and I said to her, I don't want to do it that way. And he said she turned and looked at him, and he said it put the fear of God in him. And she goes, "That was so hot."
Oh my God.
For him to speak up like that, and take
Wow.
that, and have a voice. And so over the next 4 months or so, I see this guy start rising up in his business. I see them start, all of a sudden, by the time we're done, they have people pulling him into business growth organizations to lead people and to mentor other businesses that are not doing to the scale he was doing and stuff. And you talk about even his relationships with his kids, all of a sudden it started having depth to it. And he started being a father figure and showing them, what that means to be a father figure. It's just amazing, just absolutely amazing seeing that. That's one story. And I love that because it shows how the conditioning, it's not our fault, but it shows how that conditioning can sidetrack our life and put us on a whole different track than we were ever meant to be on.
Wow. Bang. That's a symbol. I'll do that again because you need 2 for that one. So I want you to talk about when we first met, you mentioned a network marketing. A lot of people I know and probably listening are doing network marketing. The Isogenics, the SIAs, the networking. What a great way to start getting a business. Talk about somebody you work with and what you did for her.
Oh, numerous people in network. I love working with network marketing. I love working with everybody I work with and stuff. But network marketing, because here's what happens. Somebody, and typically it's a people sitting around a room that put together how somebody can be successful at doing that. So every person has some lead in and feed in into what a person has to do to be successful. And then somebody signs up for it and there's a low cost and it makes sense. They can do it while they work and things like that and such. So, they step into it, invest in it. And all of a sudden they get all of this stuff that's impossible for one person to do. Not one of those people in the room who put it together can follow this process they laid out. But they hand it to each one of the people that sign up and say, here's how you become successful. And we'll put some group meetings together and hold you accountable and make sure you're doing these things and everything else. And it's so exhaustive and almost impossible to achieve that. Same thing with realtors. When they get their license, they go through very similar things with mentoring and such. And so what I do when we get into the SMT method, what I do is I help them to take the major stuff out of there, the important stuff out of there that came from that mentoring or how to do it. Because you have to know somewhat of the product. You have to know how to talk on the product. But that's it. And then I help them develop, when I say developing systems of accelerating habits, I help them develop their unique pathway to success. So now, instead of doing all this stuff that's impossible to do, they have a much smaller selection of things to do, but it lights them up to do it, Steve. And like I know, when we're doing something that excites us, it energizes us. When I was in corporate, if I had to be in the office after 5 o'clock 2 days in a row, I felt cheated. I was ticked off. I was angry. I was upset, everything else. There's times I'll come in here and do all my work through the day and stuff. And then at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, I'll get dinner, come back here and I'll do filming. And next to me in the other room is my studio. And I'll film till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I can't go to sleep when I get done. I'm so energized. When we talk about freedom, hand in hand with that is when freedom really is loving how we live. That's freedom. And so when we start turning that on, when we start taking our business or our multi-level marketing, real estate, whatever it may be, and we start tapping into it that way, and the things we're doing are lighting us up and exciting us, all of a sudden we want to do more of that because it gets more exciting. We feel more freedom in our life to do it the way we want to do it. So instead of robotically trying to follow somebody else's, whoever put the system together for MLM, it's taking the essentials out of that and then developing our own pathway. And I'll tell you, no matter what, your pathway would never look like my pathway. There can be some commonality in the subconscious conditioning, but your pathway to do it, what ignites you, is going to be unique to you. So instead of putting everybody under this and telling them, here's the march, do this and you're going to be successful, even programs that do that, less than 1% of the people that are investing in with their time, effort, and finances, investing in those programs, less than 1% of those people ever achieve anywhere near the results the person who put it together did. Because the person who put it together found their pathway.
Yeah.
What I love about the SMT and what's really blowing it up and bringing clients in and such is that it's your experience is unique to you.
That's right.
It just lays the groundwork of the process to open up that journey.
Yeah. You've talked about network marketing, realtor, and I think of a plumber, insurance agent. All these have commonality of tons of competition. Like here in California, a realtor, in Northern California where I'm at, a house goes up, there could be 15,000 realtors who could sell it. That's a ton of competition.
Yeah.
How do you help with that?
Yeah, I'll tell you how I help with that. Is almost like a threat, right? No, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I had a client that was on almost to the Virginia border in North Carolina. Excuse me. They were moving to Tennessee. A realtor. They knew really nothing about the market. They weren't moving there because of market things and stuff like that. They were moving there because of life situations and stuff. And so they were like working together. They were on fire to get over to Tennessee. And they went there, and within a month and a half, they had leads coming in. They were starting to list houses. They were identifying buyers, and people were coming. And all of a sudden, this thing is turned on. And then they went to a networking event, a couple of them, within a week apart, and heard about the competition. They heard about the market and why I can't, and all this stuff. And they came out of there, and we could see that drop down in that. And so what we had to do is double back, almost like once we see that stuff, we can't forget it,
Right.
but we overcome it. We can shift that out of there. And I'll tell you, if you look at any type of a business, there's businesses that just like launch to the highest level they've been to in a down economy. And then there's businesses who struggle even in a boom.
Wow.
And the only explanation for that, it's not like successful businesses understand. It's not the actions we take so much as it is how we take those actions.
Yeah. That's so powerful, because you're right. People will give up. A lot of people, especially when they're starting out, they see, a roadblock. They're like an obstacle. They're like, I can't do it. I better do something else. But they put all this time in. I think giving up and being indecisive are two mindset habits that need to change.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, absolutely. Because we never fail until we give up.
Yep. And I did
most
go ahead.
People, when they fail, they can blame it on all the economy and everything else. But somewhere inside themselves, we take that out as being us. So when we try to come back out and rebound from that, we have that negative conditioning pulling us back into it, ever reminding us of that.
Negativity is it's not a good thing. I'm going to say some other words bad, but that's not a good word. And we see it all over in the world. Yeah. You watch social media, you look at media, negativity, attacking, bullying, and all that stuff is happening because we're closer together because of the internet. Mm-hmm. And I love what you're saying because
and there's a purpose to negativity.
Yeah, that's true.
Negativity, when we have the things we want and we're striving and we see that things opening up, being on here on this show, talking to you today is such a positive and stuff, but then we have those things that make us feel discontent. Right? Things aren't where we want them to be, or things aren't how we want them to be. The purpose of those things happening isn't to hold us back.
No.
The purpose of those things happening is to remind us that I need to put my focus on what it is I do want. But what happens is somebody has something negative happen and they dive into it. Everything they thought, it's pulling them back.
Yeah. No, and it's like the ticking clock.
I was wondering where that was coming from. I thought my desk was going to blow up.
I know. Time is, I'm surprising you. But I love it because it's time ticking away like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And you make it indecisive, just destroys time because I'm waiting. I'll let you know, Joey. And we all deal with it. You deal with it. I deal with it. You'll get that person. I love what you're doing. I need your service or product. Let me get back to you. And that's okay. You don't need to push it. but just be prepared to follow up with a great positive mindset. Don't go. Go ahead.
Even somebody struggling with their business right now, they're trying to grow their business, not to the level they want or things like that. Fine. Use that motivation coming from that, whether it be fear, anxiety, whatever it is, use that to go to that other side and start defining what it is you want your business to be. Get some clarity around that. Clarity is power.
Yeah.
The more clarity we have towards what we want, the easier it is to bring that about. The more we'll see those coincidences out of the blues, whatever you want to call that, happening and unfolding for us. So it's such a powerful tool to be able to use to lean into what we want. But so often we're conditioned it's not going to work this way because this happened.
Yeah. Well, we ran out of time. This went fast. Real quick, how can people reach you?
The easiest way to get a hold of me, you can call my cell phone at 864-614-3333, or you can go to coachwithjoey.com.
Thank you, everybody, for watching our first episode in our TV show. Joey, thank you. God bless you. Love you, man. You're a brother. And we'll see you all next week, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, Friday, our next episode of Together We Serve.